For someone that hasn't seen logging done in the past and all that, when they go to an area which just been logged, I realise it can be very confronting because there is a lot of areas where you've got to go in with machines and make gaps and all that up. But the thing about it today is with technology, the harvesting practices today are much better than what they were years ago, and they're very heavily regulated, and the EPA and Forest Corp, got very hard restrictions and make sure the contractors do the right thing, and they do audits and inspect the forests after we log them. I'm standing here on a stump in Wengwalk State Forest, which we logged approximately 12 months ago, and it's a log about 40 girth. There's plenty more around here like it, but we've had to leave some for future growth. You see all these regrowth trees coming up around it. They're through here everywhere, behind me. They just pop up out of the ground everywhere, and the ones that are strongest will make it and grow on, and the other ones, weaker ones, they might just die off, or they might get thinned out later on as a smaller, weaker tree, a salvage tree or something. The better one will grow into a quota log or a power pole. And it's just hard to believe in 12 months the amount of regrowth it's got coming up through the bush, and the amount of trees that actually get left today, habitat for the animals or the seed regrowth, all the young timber. See all these younger trees here? They were too small to harvest, they've been left, and you come back in 30 or 40 years and they'll be like the one I'm standing on, and you can cut it down. A lot of people refer to these forests as New South Wales native forests, but what they actually should be calling them is New South Wales regrowth forests, because they're just regrowing all the time after we thin them. There's a lot of people out there have concerns that when we're logging native forests, they think that we're out there logging old growth forests, or forests haven't been logged before. There's stumps all around me here that were 30 or 40 years ago they've been logged, and they think that we clear fall the forest. As you can see, there's not even, we would have only taken 10 or 20% of the trees out of this area here. There's so much younger timber left to grow on that we can come back and log in 30 or 40 years time. That's why it's a bit of a myth out there that people think, oh, native forest, you're logging old growth forest. That is far from the truth. There's no forest in New South Wales get logged that's old growth or it's never been logged before. I'm in the same forest here. This stump has been logged 30, 40 years ago, and not even 4 or 5 metres in front of me was the stump I was just standing on, and that's just been logged in the last 12 months. And that's just how it is. And look at the trees around us, it's coming back. They'll be back here in 30, 40 years easy and have logs at least as big as this. This is a 50 plus girth log. And there's another one just over there. They're just everywhere here. It's just how it is. There's just stumps everywhere, and there's trees coming up out of the ground everywhere. It's just that type of bush. It just regenerates so well. It's just great for regrowth forests. I'm standing here beside a grey gum tree out in Wengwalk State Forest. So this ring's been marked. Clearly you're not allowed to touch these trees, not allowed to bump them, not allowed to hit them. They're protected for the animals and for reseed trees. It could have been taken as a power pole, but they've left it as a suitable tree for koalas. And there's lots of grey gums around here, and tallowood, which are feed trees for the koalas, and there's plenty left. So you can see down here all the scratch marks on the grey gum where the koala's been climbing up and down. I've been told that koalas don't live in trees very long. They only spend roughly a day in each tree, so they go up and come back down. And looking at other trees around here and down here, there's plenty of claw marks on it the same, and like it's been logged 12 months ago, so clearly the koalas have been back here since it's been logged, looking for all the regrowth timber around and all the young shoots that's coming up. So of course when you do things, everything's not perfect, but it's important to try and minimise the amount of impact you can on the forests and areas you go. So that's why we leave the bark in heaps around the dump area to try and let the animals dig in it, and it stops erosion, and when you come back next time, you just level out and away you go again. So you can see behind me here how fast the regrowth, it's only been 12 months since we've logged here, and it's just amazing to think the regrowth's coming up through the forest. Another 12 months and you won't be able to walk through there. You'll have to come out and get a dozer to clear the tracks and all that. It's just amazing to think how fast the regrowth comes back in these regrowth forests. So you can see after a year or two it does come back, and it's not as confronting as what it was when you first saw it when it's first harvested. But now it's 25 to 30 year old, and look, you never know someone's been through here unless you see the old stumps and old trees laying on the ground here and there, but it's just amazing how good it comes back. I'm just up the road a little bit further from where we last were on Wengwalk Forest Way. And this block here is just about ready to be planned to be logged, they tell me. And I just wanted to point out there's a stump here behind me. It's at least 80, 90, 100-year-old. You know, that's a log 60, 70 girth in its day. And then just to the side of it here, only 4 or 5 metres away, we've got one here. You know, it's about a 40-year-old log, and it was a 40 to 50 girth. And there's another one 4 metres away here, a log just in here, and it's 40 to 50 girth, and the bush is just full of them. Everywhere you can see here, there's some younger timber still coming on, but through the back, there's a lot of timber through here, and a lot of good future logs. So this is one of the blue gum trees in the compartment that'll get logged shortly, maybe next year, and it's just amazing. Look at that, I cannot get my arms anywhere near around that. That's a 50 to 60 girth log, and the bush is just full of them. There's thousands here. But this timber grows very fast. It's high rainfall and it's very good soil here, and this bush is known to produce plenty of logs over the last 100, 150 years. Just keeps growing and growing and growing. Okay, we're just down the road a bit further here at Wengwalk Forest, and you can see the timber in this forest here. It's only been logged about 25, 30 years ago. The trees, you know, they're not a good size yet. They're only your 30 to 40 girth. To get maximum value out of it, you're looking for a bigger log than that. So at least another 10, 15 years would be good to log this, and then you get the full potential of the wood. But you can see here, look, this stump here is at least 80, 100-year-old, where the old timers with their axes put the wedge marks in here. They cut in here to put their boards on so they could hop up on the boards and cut the tree up higher to get rid of all the big flary butts. And that's what they did years ago. So either an axe or a cross-cut saw, they would have cut this down. But you know, there's evidence to say, look, it's been going on for over 100 years, and the timber is still growing stronger than ever. Here we are, we're in Moyle Lakes National Park now. Used to be State Forest, only 10 minutes up the road and across where we were in Wengwalk State Forest. And in 1970, they cleared an area here, State Forest, and they planted all these beautiful blackbutts in a flooded gum traditional area forest. And this forest around us here was harvested last in 1990s. The size of the timber and the way the bush is now, how thick it is, it could have another thinning now, and then a lot could grow on again even further. This blackbutt was locked up in 2000 when Bob Carr started making all the national parks. This got locked up then, and it's never been harvested. Problem with the koala park on the north coast they're talking about bringing in, there's lots of plantations just like this blackbutt that is going to get locked up as well, and there's a lot of wood there. It's been planted for the future of the mills, and that's all going to be lost if they lock it all up in the koala park. And plus, the other thing, it's disappointing, blackbutt is not a preferred species, and neither is spotted gum for koalas. Koalas like more of the grey gums, tallowood, that type of species. As you can see, we showed you the claw marks on those trees before. There's no claw marks here for koalas because it's not the traditional species they eat. Okay, I'm standing here beside this blackbutt. You know, it's a 60 plus girth log, pushing towards 65, 70 maybe. And it's a blackbutt that, this is the current species that everyone's trying to get a hold of. It's for decking and flooring, it's so popular. It's the most sought after species in Australia. So this tree is locked up in National Park, and every tree in New South Wales could end up the same thing if they decide to lock up all the native forests, or even if they only lock up an area for the Great Koala National Park. There's a lot of blackbutt trees like this in that area that would be locked up and wasted and let go rotten. See, this tree here has been left for too long as far as I'm concerned. It's starting to get rot here, it's starting to die up here, and that, it'll keep going and get water in there and rot and get all the way around. Then white ants will get in, and eventually it'll just rot out and fall over. And what a waste of a magnificent resource that can be used for so many different products. So when you're out here in the bush, it feels so frustrating to think that there's all this timber out here and it's just growing and growing and growing, and there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of hectares already locked up, and we only left to log a small proportion of that. And down in Sydney, they get to make these decisions that could shut down all these little country towns and all these communities and put thousands of people out of work. And then not only that, what's everyone going to do for timber? We have people from Victoria up here now. They've only been shut for 12 months, and every day Victorians are ringing, chasing timber. So where are we going to get our timber from if you just lock it all up? It just doesn't make sense to me. It is a renewable product. It just needs water and sun, and it grows, and it costs nothing to grow it. Out here when I'm in the forest, I feel like it's just political motivated, and I hope that the government, when they go to make their decisions on the future of the forest, they can listen to the science and rely on the science before they make their decision.